Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. If you're new here, I am Kate. I am a 16-year veteran teacher out of San Diego, California, and we're doing a series on the coronavirus. So in part one, I talked all about how everything kind of unfolded in education up to the official notification that schools were closing. If you haven't seen that video, I encourage you to go watch it. Definitely join the conversation over there. And today's video is going to be all about kind of the impact this is having on our students, teachers, and kind of the education community as a whole. So we're going to dive into that. In part three, I'm going to show you some different things that I'm doing with my kids that you may want to incorporate in your e-learning, online learning. And then the final video will be all about kind of the future of education and where we're headed. So let's dive into this. So we now know that school is closed. And I am gonna go into further about how that's gonna affect my students, like time-wise, because some people are thinking like, oh my God, a month, but I'm gonna break it down for you and you'll be able to see it's not like as dire as it sounds. So that'll be in part 4, I believe. So our students. Now, I'm not going to be including preschool or daycare in this situation, but I am going to talk a little bit about elementary, middle school, high school, and college, and then mostly swing back to elementary because, hi, I'm an elementary teacher. So in my opinion, elementary school is the most ill-prepared for this type of a situation. And I don't remember a time in my lifetime when schools globally are closing because of a pandemic. And I'm sure pre my time that has happened, but I don't think to the scale of which it's happening now. Feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, but I was born in '77, so I don't think this has ever happened from like 77 onward. So pretty crazy. Okay, so the reason I think that elementary is so ill prepared for this is that in middle school, in high school, in college, there is a lot of online things that students already have to do. So for example, in middle school, our students use something called ManageBox. They can check their grades on there. They can submit assignments on there. It's just like this all-encompassing thing that they use. And in elementary, we don't have that. And so I think a lot of students, once they get to middle school, they are used to doing things for education on the computer. In elementary though, at my school at least, the kids have access to technology from kinder on. But in 3rd grade, our students get their first email account. And once they have an email account, this opens up so many opportunities for them. So I don't know if any of the kinder, 1st, or 2nd grade teachers are using things like Google Classroom. I think they are going to have to now. But I know that my students use Google Classroom. They use docs, slides, forms, presentations. They use a lot of things in the Google suite already. And so while we've been doing Google Classroom for the last couple of months, the thing is I only see my students every other month, every other week. So this means that the amount of time that they have been on Google Classroom hasn't been a couple months. It's been about half that amount of time. I think my teaching partner is now also using Google Classroom, but was not before. And so, you know, my students are just learning. And when they are in the classroom and they don't know how to do something, either I can help them or a peer can help them. When they're at home, if their parent is not familiar with Google and like all the things that incorporate like Google, encompass Google, they're gonna probably struggle how to find things. I know oftentimes I'll say, hey, click the link, and there'll be a couple parents who'll be like, wait, what? I don't know, where is it? Like, oh, can you help me? Or, you know, little things that would seem obvious are not. It's the same thing I tell my kids. If you are not constantly using something, you forget it, right? Like, do you think I remember trigonometry? Heck no, right? So I always tell my parents, you know, hey, if you don't have somebody who knows how to do it, it's because they just haven't used it in a while. So, or they've never used it, right? And so I think that that's like definitely something I'm very stressed out about, because I want my students to be successful, but without a peer or myself, I worry that they're not going to be able to figure it out. So you're going to have those kids that are going to sink or swim, right? The kids who are going to figure it out, and then they're going to come back to school and tell you everything they know, and you're going to learn something from them. And there's going to be the other kids who just sit there in frustration because they can't figure it out. Now, let's imagine those two. The kids that sink, they're just going to give up. I'm not doing it anymore. It's too difficult. I can't figure it out. The kids that are swimming are going to be like, oh my God, look everything I found out. It's so great, right? And I think that that's another concern, is that this online learning, it's just going to really kind of like separate this. There's going to be even more of a gap now between what kids can and can't do. So that's very concerning. The other thing is, we really can't be grading anything the kids are doing at this point, right? So you think, okay, I'm going to sign all this up and I can grade it. Who's to say that the kid who gets a high grade didn't take that multiple times to get the grade they wanted, or didn't have somebody giving them the answers, or like helping them to find the answers, right? And then you have other kids at home that just, they're not going to have that support, or they're not going to be able to find where the assignments are, and they're not going to be able to do it. And then there are other kids who are just unmotivated and are not going to do it. And so you can't really be grading anything at this time either. And then in addition to that, you know, we understand that not everything has to be online. So we did send home, we were instructed for math. We have 2 math booklets left this year, and we were instructed to send both home. Now, I'm going to get into why that's concerning to me when I talk about kind of like the future, but I am worried that if we're sending that all home, that maybe that means the closure is going to go possibly longer. So that's concerning. But, you know, I also worry that the kids are going to try to do all of it in the next 8 days. So that I'm worried that they're going to go through it so quick that they're not actually retaining what they learned, just to be like, look, I finished it. So, yeah, that is concerning. So, you know, I am not comfortable sending home writing, like telling parents to teach kids how to do opinion writing. I might give them some resources, but if I was to send home my lesson plan with them, like, hey, here's how I teach opinion writing, I really don't feel like it would be as successful as I did it. And that's me being a little bit controlling, I understand. And I know there are gonna be parents who are like, I could totally do it, and you can. But I feel like on the majority, I would be opening much more can of worms of confusion than I would be helping. So I feel like my whole writing unit, I'm not going to be able to teach as well as I did. And so that scares me, right? And I think that's kind of how I'm feeling. Have you ever heard teachers say, it is far easier to come in sick than to take a sick day, than to get a sub? There's a reason we say that. Elementary school is not prepared. Classrooms are not prepared in a way that it is easier. We're not prepared for teachers to be out. And essentially, this is what's happening. The teachers are not there to teach the kids. And so I think a lot of us have massive anxiety about this. And I do worry that my kids are not getting the education they deserve. And I just hope that this does not last longer. And I have a feeling it might. So it's definitely where I'm coming from. My heart's racing. I'm like stressed. My heart's racing. The best that we can do, and I think all teachers feel this way, the best that we can do at this point is to just provide as many resources as we can and just hope that the kids are motivated enough to at least try something each day. So that's kind of where I'm coming from about the impact that this is having. And to all of my students watching, I miss you guys. I know it hasn't been that many days, but I do miss you, and I cannot wait to see you again. I think that, you know, this is a very unfortunate thing that happened, and I think that it was really hard for a lot of us because it was so sudden, right? It was just like, boom, you wake up one day and you think you're going to school, and then you find out, no, you're not. So I miss you guys. I can't wait to see you again, but in the meantime, I just want you to stay focused on your learning and to not stress out. Take this as an opportunity to be with your families and just really cherish that moment, because family is really the most important thing.